Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Stephanie Liu, and welcome to a new episode of Lights, Camera, Live, where we shine a spotlight on the best and brightest marketers in the industry to take your business from unknown to unforgettable. So if you're tuning in, go ahead and leave us some likes, give us some hearts, let us know where you're tuning in from, because I've got an amazing guest for you today. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you who is in the house. Hey, Vanessa.
What's up, Stephanie? Thanks so much for having me. I'm super psyched to be here. What's going on?
Oh my gosh, I'm beyond excited to have you on the show because we have been talking about email forever. Like ever since I met you, I was like, oh, that's your thing. Let's talk about that. Let's do this. So,
I'm an email dork. I am.
So, hey, shout out to George, who's tuning in from New York. Hey.
What's up, George?
And we've got Mike Alton from St. Louis, who's also tuning in.
Oh, what's up, Mike?
Lots of love for Vanessa. Vanessa, you're in Chicago, right?
I am, aka Siberia. Yeah, that's where I'm throwing down, where, the polar vortex hit us. And it was, I think, a record low of negative 24, like 3 weeks ago. Why I live here, I don't know. But yes, I'm in Chicago.
I know. You should come out to San Diego, where I'm broadcasting from. So
I know, girl. Done and done.
When are you coming to San Diego?
I don't know. I wanted to come for Social Media Marketing World, but it's not going to happen this year. So I don't know. Maybe like on vacay, maybe like a girls trip. I don't know, but I need some sunshine.
I could do a girls trip. But if we're going to do a girls trip, I'd rather go to Vegas. So anyways, we'll talk about that. So hey, if you guys are tuning in, if you're watching in live, let us know where you're tuning in from. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and leave the comment, #replay. So listen, you guys. If you are not building your email list, or if you're struggling to grow your email list, then this is the episode for you. So definitely go ahead and grab your Post-it notes, just like me, or get your notebooks, tag a friend, that one friend that's always in your group that's always like, I can't grow my email list. Be like, yo, you need to listen to this, because we got Vanessa Cabrera on the show, and she is an award-winning email marketing strategist. How you even get an award for emails is beyond me.
I help my clients. I help my clients grow their list. And finally, I'm like, all right, let me see if I can do it. So
That is very true. And so Vanessa Cabrera and I, we actually met over at the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference because she is an absolute pro, not only in email marketing, but she also knows live streaming, which I was like, love connection. I like you.
Yes, for sure. That's how we threw down in the panel.
Yes.
In the panel discussion of live streaming at Midwest Digital Marketing Conference. Yeah, because surprise, surprise, live streaming was one of the ways I grew my email list. Dun, dun, dun.
What? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about email right now and why email marketing is still important.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, that email is dead, right? It's antiquated. It's old school. It's not the fastest way to communicate. It's not sexy like social media, right? Because there's just so many different ways to communicate via like direct message and personal message, and that's just a lot faster. And I get that, right? However, really the number one reason you want to grow your email list is because you definitely don't want to put all of your marketing in your social media basket. Let's take a look at what just happened with Google Plus. Let's talk about that.
Ooh, okay, go for it.
Well, let's get into that, because that social media channel is going bye-bye, all right? And so maybe some people didn't even know that social media channel existed, but a lot of people did use it when it first came out. And so now there's a ton of people scrambling, trying to figure out what to do with their following. And so really the number one reason to grow your email list, and really to grow your email list at the same time that you're growing your social media following, is because that's the number one thing that you own outright. Okay, I sound like a parrot when I say this, and all the social media strategists who are watching now, you guys know this, right? We say this over and over again, but you do not own your social media following. You don't even own your Facebook business page, y'all. Mark Zuckerberg does, okay? So if if that's the number one way you're communicating with your prospects and your clients is on Facebook or Instagram or any of that, you need to have a backup plan, because I've known plenty of people who've been thrown in Facebook jail. So let's say, you have a Facebook group and that's the only way you're able to communicate with them. What you gonna do, boo, when all of a sudden you are locked out of Facebook. This is for real, for real.
Yeah.
So
oh my God.
The only thing that you have that you right, you know what I'm talking. Stephanie, I know this. This is a true story, right? Like I had one client of mine. She came to me and she grew her Facebook group to over like 20,000 y'all. It was so impressive, and I will never forget this. I was on the phone with her, and I'm like, "Okay, how big is your list?" And she goes, 100. And I'm currently in Facebook jail. Stephanie, my hands started to sweat. Literally, I was like, "Okay, all right, let's just breathe." And she's like, "That's why I'm on the phone with you. I need help."
Yeah.
So that's still why, email marketing is so important. And it's still one of the most cost-effective ways to communicate with your prospects. It's still, for every dollar that you invest in an email marketing program, on average, you get back anywhere between $38 to $44. That to me is still a sick ROI to invest your marketing dollars in.
That's amazing. That's badass.
Yeah, it ain't going nowhere, boo. It's not going nowhere. So
I love these conversations with Vanessa because I try to be all like, okay, I'm going to be all proper and whatnot. And then she throws out the boo-boos and the throwdowns. And I'm like, ah!
This is how I communicate, y'all.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And thank you to everyone that just dropped the hearts right now, because George and Mike are like, y'all are just crazy. All right. So how did you grow your email list? Like, what was your killer list building tactic? I would love to hear what you're doing.
Okay. So first and foremost, email or online marketing in general is always trial and experiment. I don't like to say trial and error. It's trial and experiment, right? And growing your list is no different. So I have tried many ways to grow my list, several ways. And right now, I'd say probably this past year, the number one way I have grown my list is through collaborating with others and together with doing webinars, for sure. So I'm a speaker, and I knew that as much as I love getting in front of people and speaking to them, person to person, I know that when you do a webinar, obviously you can reach a much wider audience online. All right. So when I was doing it on my own, that was great. I would get a lot of traffic and new people coming in. However, there was this one event that Constant contacted, and I'm partners with them. I've been partners with them forever. They decided to do an event called Digital Day. And this happened 5-6 years ago, where it was an all-day event and kind of like a summit. There was a speaker every hour, right? And someone from 8 to 9 would talk about Instagram, from 9 to 10 would talk about LinkedIn, etc. And so I threw my hat in the ring, and I'm like, all right, I'll throw down with this. Holy cow. My list grew just from that one event. I think it was maybe about 300 people that signed up just for my webinar. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. So, as me and Stephanie always say, do something. And when something works, double down on that. Yes. So I have been doubling down on that. So that's pretty much been the number one way I've been able to grow my list, is by doing these webinars and kind of looking for partners to collaborate with. And they're also kind of coming to me when they've seen me speak at another online event, something like that. So, but when you're looking for people to collaborate, you have to make sure that you're getting in front of the right people, right? That you're getting in front of the right target audience. You just don't want to say yes to any summit or yes to any event if it's not the right target audience for you. So that's probably been where I literally hit it out of the park. I was, and I could only have 100 people on the webinar. So I was like, when I checked my registrants and it was 400, I was like, I called the event producer. I'm like, oh, we have a problem. It's a good problem.
It's a good problem. I know. I was like, excuse me, you don't know this, but I'm Vanessa Cabrera, and you thought I was only going to get 100, but I got 4 times that.
I got 4.
So you got to go upgrade that. And P.S., by the way, shout out to George, who's the only summit that he wants to attend is Dim Summit, because for y'all who don't know, I am all about food, and Dim Summit is going to happen at Social Media Marketing World, and I know that I'm going to see you, Vanessa, over at MDMC, so we'll get down with some Dim Summit over there, too. I'll have, Mike chauffeur us. Thanks, Mike.
That's hilarious. I know about the Dim Sum Summit. I have heard.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
That's going to be a thing. I swear, whoever's watching right now and just wants to, go above and beyond and be in my heart forever, if you want to make a flyer that says, Dim Summit.
Starring Stephanie Liu.
And the rest of the crew. Okay, cool. So you said list building strategies for sure, webinars. I totally agree with you on that, because I was just on SEMrush, and it just opened up a whole new audience. And once I got that list back, I was like, okay, how do I keep these people engaged? Because they met me like that one time. And how do I keep them to still engage with the content that I have to share with them? Because I'm mostly talking about live streaming. So I'd be curious to hear how you keep your folks engaged after a webinar.
Yeah, so it's all in the follow-up, right? So it's just, you have to take advantage of these incredible opportunities. So let's say you did a webinar, you knocked it out of the park, they're super impressed with you, right? And then you send out a follow-up email, always within 48 hours of any event, whether it's on offline or online, because after 48 hours, any lead goes cold. As we all know, like we go to these conferences and we get amazing content and we're all super hyped. And then we come back to our offices, back to life. Okay. And back to reality. That's in my head. Sorry, guys. And then we forget, right? We just forget to implement some of this stuff. So absolutely send out a follow-up within 48 hours of sending them more content, your PowerPoint slide, things like that. But that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
And then after that, people either get lazy or they don't know what else to send. So a sale or a conversion, so they say, the sales experts, and I'm not a sales expert, but they say to convert someone, it takes anywhere from, I've heard 6 to 8 touches, right? So from there, you want to keep the conversation going. So you definitely want to have a follow-up funnel to either lead them to your Facebook group or to continue to give them epic content like, hey guys, here's the PDF version of the PowerPoint presentation that I have. I guarantee when you over deliver on content following any event, I'm telling you, if they didn't fall in love with you when you were speaking, they will with the follow-up. And so this takes work, just because the event's over. So that's how you keep your list engaged. You just simply keep the conversation going. That's it.
Okay. I'm like, I get it. But I'm like, writing those damn emails, it's just.
I know.
It's hard. But I mean, you've got an amazing thing because I hit you up. Okay, so I'm going to the list of questions. Okay. Because I hit up Vanessa and I was like, yo, Vanessa, I got like this email list. I've got people that aren't engaged. I'm about to Marie Kondo on them and just be all like, do I make up or do I break up? And she's like, let me show you my magic templates. Let me show you. You were like, let me show you. And it was magic. And I was like, girl, where have you been all my life? So you have like the follow-up, when you say follow-up emails, so you gave an example of like driving them over to a Facebook group, turning your slides into a PDF. Okay, cool. I'm like writing this all down. Even Marie's like, okay, 48 hours. What was the other one in terms of how to engage your list?
Content, like go above and beyond. So the other thing I like to do is I like to give people who either watched a webinar or watched one of my seminars a content upgrade. So I just did this for my first Facebook Live of the year. I went live on Facebook and I gave 10 ways on how to grow your list. And then at the end of that live stream, of course, I had a call to action to join my list, but it was through bots, girl. I was testing chat bots. I'm getting all techie in the chat bots. And so if they wanted the 10 ways to grow your list, they had to subscribe to my chat bot. But I gave them like a bonus 3 other ways on how to grow their email list. So I gave them a content upgrade. So always like over deliver and give them like a wow experience. So when they opened the guide, they were like, wait a minute, there's 13 ways on how to grow your list in this guide. And you told me 10. So that's pretty much how I try to keep them engaged. It's just to give, to nurture them. And then eventually if they're in your group, you keep that relationship going.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably like my favorite way is that if I'm on a webinar, I'm like, dude, if you just want to come and hang out and kick it, then go into the strategist group because that's where I'm geeking out. I'm messing around with my Facebook stories in the group and all that jazz. So for those of you guys that are just tuning in, we're obviously talking about 5 killer list building tactics. We've already talked about speaking at conferences, right? And creating a nurture funnel around that. We've also talked about webinars, which is a really great way to just fast track your email list, especially if you're doing summits, virtual summits, if you're doing joint webinars and all that jazz. You know what's funny about the webinars is that when I was talking to my legal team, and I was like, okay, GDPR, like, P.S. by the way, I also do this thing where I do webinars with a joint person and sometimes we swap the list. And they're like, what do you do? And I was like, yeah, we swap the list. They're like, we need to update your privacy policy and your terms. And I was like, okay, you go do your thing here. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay. What are some other ways? Because that's two. And if I could throw one in there,
Yeah.
right? The one that I like is the pending members question for your Facebook group, right? So you could ask those three questions, and then one of my questions is, do you want the Lights Camera Live workbook on how to launch your Facebook Live show? And what's nice is people will go ahead and put their emails in there. And if I know if they put their emails in there, then I know that they're serious, right? They're like super interested in the content and not just like, oh, well, I just wanted to post and ghost. And I was like, well, no, let's not do that.
Right.
So that's like one of my favorite ways is to do the pending member question. And I use group funnels. Have you used group funnels? Do you know what that is?
I have heard of it. I've never used it personally, but I also ask my members to answer 3 questions, and it's not an email. However, normally how they even get into my Facebook group is that they're on my list first.
So you've already like pre-qualified them.
Yeah, they cut. That's like just my system, my flow, how I lead them. So obviously they discover me through like a seminar or webinar or some sort of speaking gig off stage or on stage. And then I get their email list. And like I said, in my follow-up, somewhere down the line, I invite them into my Facebook group. So I already have their email list before they even enter.
Oh, why did I feel like that was like a dating metaphor of like, before you even, I need your email address before you
I
even
need your digits, boo. I need that email address. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number 4, what's another way to build your email list? I'm also a huge fan of surveys, right?
Surveys is not sexy, but yeah, you can.
You're like,
you can survey. No, that, you know what's so funny? I just created a survey this morning. I totally just created a survey for a segment of my list. The other way to grow your list is when you're doing something like this, either being interviewed or doing podcasts or, whatever tactic you're using to increase your visibility online. When someone asks you, okay, Stephanie, how can someone work with you? How can someone contact you or get a hold of you? A lot of people just flat out give their website, their web address. Okay, so you could just go to, www.vanessa-cabrera.com. But what I do, I rarely ever give someone my web address anymore. Yeah. I usually give them an opt-in. I'm like, yo, I have something for your listeners. I have something special for your viewers. Check this out. You guys can get a copy of, whatever opt-in, whatever guide, the ultimate Facebook Live checklist, and you can get it here. So that's another way I go in my list is whenever someone wants like my contact information, I kind of flip the script and I said, yeah, I have something for you that I can help you with. Go to this, get the guide. And then within my follow-up, there's always a way to contact me. It's usually like the offer at the end or something. And, if they want a session or something like that. So always throw down your opt-in.
That's very true. And speaking of opt-ins, Michelle Osorio just said, I just signed up for Vanessa's freebie, and she recognized that you were using lead pages, and she's like, I feel like such a pro. Because she is a pro, and you are a pro.
Yeah, I'm using lead pages. Love lead pages. I've been using lead pages for I don't know how long, but a lot of email service providers like ConvertKit or Active Campaigns or things like that, they already have landing pages included with their tools. Yeah. Unfortunately, Constant Contact back in the day didn't. So I had to start using lead pages, but I love it.
Got it. Okay, so here's
awesome. Very cool for downloading the guide, girl. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, do your thing. She actually had another question for you, and her question was, what do you think about email courses where each lesson is sent in an email and then drives people back over to an online course platform?
I think that's a great way of, Take 2.
I know. I was like, do you want me to put the camera on me?
Of growing your list. Yeah, for sure. So I've had a couple of courses that I teach my students, and it's usually delivered in an email. So I send them either like weekly or monthly, depending on the curriculum. And they get an email saying, hey, I've thrown a brand new unit has been created. And it's about, there's video, there's a PDF, things like that. So absolutely. And then the other tip I've used, especially when I'm releasing a course or working within my group consulting program, is when I'm onboarding them, one of the things is, okay, so here's the link to the membership platform, and make sure to whitelist my email address, all that. And then I take it a step further, and then I tell them, I'm like, do me a solid, boo. This is how I talk to my
Do me a solid, boo. This is totally how she talks to you guys.
This is how I know when your branding is on point, because so many people, when they get my email, they're like, Vanessa, I can literally hear you. I can hear you in your emails. And I'm like, okay, I think I've hit it, where I'm just talking how I talk. And so I take it a step further, and I tell them, I'm like, do me a solid, boo, and create a new folder right now and label it, Instagram Incubator or Vanessa Cabrera, whatever it is, and then save all of my emails in that folder, because we get so many emails on a daily basis. If you're looking for, let's say, course number 2 or whatever, and you're looking through your inbox, I want to save you time. Yeah. So that's another thing I try to engage my list in, is tell them to start their own little, Vanessa Cabrera folder, or Lights Camera Live folder, or, whatnot.
That's awesome. That's cool. So shout out to Michelle, who said that she's already downloading the guide. She's already multitasking and watching and listening at the same time, because she's like, I have Vanessa for like the next 30 minutes or so, and I'm going to ask all my questions. So speaking of which, Camille just joined the show. What's up, Camille? Camille is saying, hey, what do I do if I don't do any webinars and I want to do content upgrades? Any points or tips around that?
Yeah. So if Mike Alton is still watching, shout out to you. Okay. Shout out to Mike. So if you are a blogger, all right. So if you're blogging, one of the things I like to do is use content upgrades with my blogs. Now, I don't blog a lot, but when I used to, I did write this blog, which was 5 ways on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. Okay. So within that blog, I wrote down all 5 ways, right? And at the bottom, it says was the opt-in, asking people if they wanted the blog as a PDF guide, because I figured if they're going to optimize their LinkedIn, I don't want them going back and forth between reading the blog and like trying to like zhuzh up their LinkedIn profile, right? So I'm like, here, you can download.
Did you say zhuzh?
Zhuzh. Yeah, zhuzh up your LinkedIn profile, right? So they would have the guide, and then at the bottom I would say, okay, so here are the 5 ways to optimize your LinkedIn profile, but when you download the guide, I included an additional 3 ways on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So even if you don't do webinars, you can always offer your audience some sort of content upgrade, whether it's live streaming or just within emails. It's just really just adding extra content and giving them more information. That's really all a content upgrade is.
Yeah, there's this cool, I don't even think I told you this yet, but there's this new website that I discovered called Designer, and it will literally take my live videos, like this live video, and then I upload it over to the site. It'll give me a transcript, which I could then turn into a blog post, or if I wanted to, I can make it to like a really sick PDF, and I'm like, yo, email subscribers, you can get that
what?
PDF. Yeah.
What is this?
It's called Designer.
Now I'm writing down.
Yeah,
Designer.
It's DESIGNRR.io.
RR. Oh, okay, yes. Yep, I have heard of it, but I've never used it. I didn't even know that's what it was for. I've heard of it, but I don't have a clue.
Oh, yeah.
Like, knock it off. So we can turn this live stream into like a blog?
PDF, yeah.
Yeah. Girl.
I know.
Now.
It's so sick, because then I could, if I wanted to, I could like pull in clips of like when you and I are talking, and then add it to the transcript or add it to the blog post, and then it's so sick. It's one of the tutorials that I plan on doing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I love your tutorials. Oh, for sure, do a tutorial, because then I'll share it in my group. That's what I do.
Yeah. Like I even
Stephanie's tutorials are beyond badass. They're awesome. I'm like, holy cow. The nuggets you drop, girl, is sick.
Okay, that's because you and I were both nerds, and I'm like, oh my god,
we are.
Check this out. Sorry, you didn't see that, but I totally did like the T-Rex dance. I was like, oh my god. Okay, camera's on you. All right.
As I'm fixing my hair. Sure, hit it.
All right, so let's talk about, whoa, something just happened.
Whoa.
What is going on? What was that?
I don't know. I kind of loved it.
That was crazy. Wait, let me try this one more time. Okay.
Oh, playback.
Yeah, that was crazy. A playback. I don't know what that was. That was Stream Deck that was tripping.
Yeah.
But okay.
That's awesome.
Where was I now? I'm like,
so content upgrade from Camille, Designer.
Yes. Content upgrades, Designer, DESIGNRR.io. Thanks, Mario, for dropping that in there. let's also talk about like how to organize your email list, because when you have these people coming in from different events, you have them coming in from like your pending questions from your Facebook groups, you have them from your conferences, your webinars. How do you organize those people to make sure that they're in the right funnels and all that jazz?
Yeah. So what I've discovered now is, sending out a blast, right? A blast email to a ginormous list, which is what a blast email is. That no longer really works. And if you're worried about your engagement being down, your open rates being down, your click-throughs, which is most important to me, of people clicking on my emails, is down, it's probably because you're sending one email to a monster list. And if you are, comment right now and let me know, because I know y'all are out there. All right. And
so, in the comment now so I can put you on blast.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on blast. Don't do that. Okay, no, you can, for sure. Like if you're promoting something or if you have an offer or something like that, for sure, you want to send it out to your entire list. But really, where email marketing is in 2019, it's so important to segment your list, okay? And my best advice, what I recommend to my clients, is to segment your list based on the content that they want to get from you, okay? So for example, I talk about all different types of seminars and topics. So, I talk about LinkedIn and I talk about Facebook Live, email marketing, and Instagram, right? And so I know damn well that the people who are interested in LinkedIn don't want nothing to do with Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. So not everybody gets the same emails from me at the same time. They get it based on the content that they first subscribed to. So I have like a list for Facebook Lives, right?
Yeah.
I did a Facebook Live challenge. So I have a list for Instagram and I have a list for LinkedIn. So it's based off of the content that they first started their relationship with me. Okay. And then every once in a while, I send out a blast, right? Promoting either a new webinar or, some sort of speaking conference I'm going to be at, or if I'm, running a special on one-on-one consulting, whatever it is, then yes, I'll send it out to my entire list. But really, if you're worried about your engagement and the open rates, you have to be disciplined. I know it's work. I know it sucks. I get it. But it's part of the online marketing deal. You've worked so hard to build your list and to get these people's attention. You have to take that extra step and segment your list according to what they want to hear from you. And believe me, they'll tell you when they, subscribe by getting your opt-in.
Have you ever tried that tactic where you have them self-select or self-segment, where you're just like, hey, click this if this best describes you. Are you a marketer, a small business owner, yada, yada, and then that will automatically create the tag in ConvertKit or Constant Contact. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. So
you're like, yes. Do you not know who I am? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm an email dork. Okay. So, but I love it that you brought that up, because that's really the number one, I'd say, tactic or thing I would focus on when it comes to email marketing, is really focusing on what's now known in the biz or the industry is behavioral email marketing. Okay. Now with all the tools that we have, before there were like tools that were like really overcomplicated and not user friendly and things like that. But now the tools are gotten much easier to use, where it's called email marketing, behavioral email marketing. So let's say you send out an email and you are, onboarding people or welcoming new subscribers to your list. And you ask them, hey, I just want to make sure that I send you the right content. If you could do me a solid and click on one of these 3 links below to let me know how comfortable you are with live streaming. Let's say, okay. And so option A is I've never gone live. Option B is I've gone live, but I'm not really comfortable with it yet or whatever. And then option C is I'm a live streaming pro and I want to know how to make money on live streaming, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying?
Go live and profit. Yeah. Go
live and make money, right? Because that's all it takes. Boom, we're live and the cash will start rolling in. Wait. So when they click on a link, any one of those links, what you can now do is, because they decided what category they're in, when they click on the link, you can now launch a whole new funnel for that person. So let's say someone clicks on the link and say, I'm brand new to live streaming. If they click on that, that person can be tagged, or that person can be added to a whole nother list. And then you can then launch a brand new funnel where then Stephanie will be like, okay, so I know you're new to live streaming. You know, it's not scary. Step one is this. She's obviously going to talk to people who have never gone live very differently than she's going to speak to someone who go live all the time and they just want like, you know, strategies or whatnot. So that's really what I think where email marketing is going. Well, where it is. It's not a new concept, but I don't think a lot of small business owners and marketing people have really taken advantage of this new tactic within email marketing.
I'm so curious, like how many tags do you have in Constant Contact and how many funnels do you have created?
Oh girl, it's kind of, I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but you know, I won't bullshit you. Let's see. I think I have 70 autoresponders but they're for different things. Yeah. All right. So like, they're not all opt-in. So like, you know, someone joined, I have an Instagram membership. And so when someone becomes a member of the Instagram incubator, I onboard them, right? Yeah. Like I said, they get the welcome email, create your own folder, and then they get another email, et cetera. So there's a bunch of different funnels or autoresponders in there, but I think I have like 70 and I don't even know how many tags I have, to be honest with you.
Well, let me just tell you, she was talking about live streaming, and live streaming comes and you get money. And I was like, look what's on my desk.
Hey. What's up? Have you ever seen that money gun?
Yes.
Where you shoot out money?
Yeah, so when we
I've
were
been
at
dying
NDMC,
to get it. And yeah.
Just be like,
I think so. I want to get one, and I just want to start a live streaming like this, like money, 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 money.
You could have a GIF that just goes across the screen, or you could have like a Bitmoji of like you, like Vanessa just pops up on the screen and it's all money, money. That would be
making it rain. Let's go.
P.S. by the way, so Renee had left a message, or she had a question, and she was saying, should she go live monthly in order to grow her email list? And I'll let you answer that because I think it really depends, but go for it.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, live streaming was the number one way I grew my email list in 2017, if I remember correctly. And so I don't think, I mean, you definitely want to be consistent in becoming visible to your audience for sure. But I think when you go live streaming and it's an objective, that's like your sole objective is to grow your email list through live streaming, which I think it's an absolute fantastic strategy and it works. But you have to plan it out. Like Stephanie will tell you, you have to plan it out. You have to make sure that you have your opt-in ready of, you know, how they're going to take that next step, why they're actually going to join your email list, right? Mm-hmm. So you can have this killer live stream, but you still have to give them a reason to join your email list. And then even before you go live, you have to promote it too, right? Yeah. So we were just talking about this before we went live, that we both have clients where they're like, well, I went live and no one showed up. And I'm like, well, did you promote it?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Okay. Are you trying to play hide and go seek right now? Right. You think viewers are just like, Vanessa, are you there? No, like you gotta.
I mean, I go prompted live in my Facebook group all the time, but if you're specifically going to use live streaming to grow your email list, then you have to plan it out. So I would say, you know, at least a week, week and a half to promote it, saying I'm going live, talking about X, Y, and Z, and then at the end of the live stream, make sure that your call to action is for them to join your list with this epic opt-in that you're going to give them.
That's right. So speaking of which, if you are curious, I'll throw it up behind my girl. It's her top 10 ways to grow your list. Because you do. Oh my God,
I'm wearing that shirt.
Are you? Did you pre-plan this?
No.
Were you like, oh my God, I'm going to be on Stephanie's show. I should totally align my brand.
No, I did not. I love this shirt, but I had no idea you're gonna show that. So that's awesome. Yeah,
of course. Why wouldn't I show that? Well, good. Okay, so Renee has another question for you, and the question is there a difference between doing a Facebook Live versus a webinar on Zoom? Ooh.
Oh, all right. So I actually attempted to do a webinar live on Facebook. I will never do it again. Ooh. It was just, a webinar is just so different than a live stream. For me, it was just like, I just will never do it again. And I think it was like the topic too. It was about like how to and techie, and it just didn't flow for me. I got it. I'm like, okay, you do webinars separately from Facebook, but I tried it. So I would say, so what was the question? I would flashback out there going, I will never do that again, girl. Ever.
Oh my God, I gotta get myself off the screen right now. Is there a difference between doing a Facebook live stream versus a webinar on Zoom?
Okay, got it. All right. Yes, there is. So with Zoom, first of all, I believe I use a different tool for my webinars, but I believe now with Zoom, you can do a webinar and it will be broadcasted live on Facebook. Okay. So the difference is when you're in a webinar, and this is how I got tripped up. When you're on a webinar, you're really there to teach something. All right. You're not completely interacting with all of your students. Because when someone registers for a webinar, like I said, I had like over 300. It's hard to interact with, 300 people at the same time when you're trying to teach them something. All right. Versus like a live stream where me and Stephanie are like, talking to you guys and, going back and forth and things like that. So so that's one option, is doing a webinar via Zoom and just have it broadcasted live on Facebook, but not really interacting with the live viewers that you have on Facebook, but more concentrating on the students who actually showed up and registered for your webinar. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, I do feel like it's a different feel, right? Like I feel like with live streaming, I guess the way that Lights Camera Live, the way that it's set up, it's very fun and just kind of like, let's crack up, let's crack jokes, but let's also give you the content inside of it. So it's kind of like a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. And then with webinars, it's just a spoonful of sugar. Dim Summit. Anyway. And then I feel like with a webinar, people have already established in their minds, this is how a webinar is supposed to be. I'm going to close my browsers. I'm going to learn, take notes, and yada, yada. I did find that when I was doing a webinar of my own, it was very structured in that sense. But then sometimes, being a live streamer, I was like, okay, wait a second. I need to jump back on camera, right? Because I just want to like check in with you guys, see how you're doing. And then I jump back into the slides. Right? Yeah. So, Renee, I think it really depends on how you want the flow and the feel of your webinar to feel like. Because, yes, you can use Zoom Webinar to go onto Facebook, and you could do that jazz too. One of the benefits of setting up something like a Zoom webinar is you could get the registrant list and all of that good stuff. Or if you're using something like Demio, have you heard of Demio, Vanessa?
Yeah, actually, one of my clients started using Demio a long time ago when we set up his first webinar.
Yeah.
And I haven't used it, but he loves it.
Yeah. Okay. So I love Demio, and it's because like when you do your webinar and you want to like, give them a handout, like download the PDF guide on 10 ways to grow your email list. You could actually see how many people from the webinar of your 300 people that registered are clicking and downloading it right then and there.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then you can have like your CTA button, like your buy now button or book a call now. Mm-hmm. You could have that button come in at a certain point when you're doing like your sell phase. And then you could see when people are actually clicking on that button. And if they're not clicking on it, then maybe you need to have like a stronger hook, right? Like maybe you need to throw in like another testimonial on why this is super important and all that jazz. So I would say that's the difference.
Oh,
right?
That's cool.
There's certain functionalities that you would find on a webinar depending on which platform you are versus Facebook Live. Like right now, Mario had put the link up for Vanessa's email lead, right?
Oh,
but I don't know
Mario.
how many. Yeah, I know, right? Shout out Mario. But I don't know how many people clicked on that. But if I had done that on Demio, I would know that like, okay, about 50% of the people, 10 minutes left on the webinar, and now I have 80% of the people that actually clicked on the buy now button. Like that kind of gives you the instant feedback that you want.
Yeah, I agree. Webinars and live streaming, they're just a different feel. And again, it's based on your personality and how you deliver your content, where you and I, Stephanie, are very similar. We like to engage. We're, kind of silly, and, we let our personalities out. But within a webinar, I'm getting more so like that too, where just like you, where I'm like, okay, I need to come back and engage to see if like, are they still, I've done that where I come back in, I'm like, are you guys still with me?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me see the questions.
Yeah. Are you guys still here? Can you
all these questions pop up, and I'm like, so that has a live streaming? Yeah, for sure. That has a live streaming effect. But then it's kind of going back to like, okay, I have like XYZ to cover. And within, your Facebook Live, you drop content. But for me, it's really like engaging with my followers in real time. It's just kind of like really checking in with them, where a webinar is just, like I agree with you. It's a different feel, but who knows where it goes.
Yeah, it's very different. I think like one of the other features that I really love about Demio is that like, let's say in your webinar, Renee, right, the last 15 minutes you want to have a Q&A session, On Demio, you could actually say, okay, you guys, if you want to ask me a question, you could either type it in the chat box, or if you just want to go on camera and engage with me in real time, that way you could build that know, like, and trust factor. It just makes a stronger connection. So,
Oh, so like they can come on camera like this, ask a question, and then, ooh, dang, I may have to check Demio out now.
Dude, it's so sick. I absolutely love it. I mean, just the fact that you could see, like, how many people are paying attention and clicking on that. I know you guys are here for email, and now we've talked about webinars.
I know.
That's because Renee had a question.
This is what happens with email. Then we talk about live streaming and webinars, and there's a ton of ways to grow your list.
That's very true. So one more question from Renee, and she said that majority of her audience is on LinkedIn, and she's trying to decide between, Facebook Live or a webinar. And I would probably say, Renee, that you might want to split test that to see where people want to go, because some people, they have straight up told me, like, hey, Steph, thank you so much. I love your emails and whatnot, but I'm not cool with joining a Facebook group right now, like, just because of privacy issues. And I was like, okay, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? If you have a LinkedIn audience, should you direct them over to Facebook or to like a Zoom webinar?
I would say, just given the platform of LinkedIn, which is, let's just be honest, it's a little bit more conservative than, Facebook. They're just now coming out with live streaming. So I would say for that audience, I would do a webinar, because they're all on LinkedIn. They're comfortable with LinkedIn. And this is the confusing part of just social media in general. Like, I saw a video, I can't remember who posted it, but it was hilarious. There's this woman speaking on stage, and she's like, okay, join my list to get my opt-in. And then, hey, don't forget to, join my group. Hey, I have a brand new video. Go to YouTube and watch it. Oh, and by the way, on LinkedIn, so we're like leading them all over the place to all these different social media platforms. Yeah. So I would just keep it simple. Renee, was it Renee that asked that question? Yep. I would just keep it simple, Renee, and just focus on LinkedIn. They're super conservative, and I would lead them from there to a webinar, which is where you're going to shine with throwing down your content. So that's what I would do.
Okay, so I have another question for you, and it's from George.
Yeah.
George says, I don't have an email list for my agency yet. Primary reason is it's more content to develop, and I don't have the time to create dedicated email content. Any tips about that?
Let me ask you this. George? Was it George?
George, yeah.
Okay. So, George, if you knew that you could make money from your list, would you make the time to email your list? Think about that. And then, money. Yeah.
I need a gun. I need a money.
And then the other thing about emails is, just like content in general, you don't have to recreate the wheel. Like, if you have a ton of content that you're already sitting on, then just provide it to your email list, whether it's a video you've done or a PDF, and emails nowadays, the best performing emails are short and sweet to the point. Like, gone are the days of those newsletters, even though I hate that word, but newsletters, right? Where it was 2 columns. So on the left-hand side, or whichever way your audience is facing, you'd see all the linked articles, right? And then on the right-hand side, you'd see like the title of the article, the picture, and then the copy, right?
Yeah.
That type of format doesn't work anymore because it's not mobile friendly. So the best types of emails are really 1 column templates and just short and sweet to the point, because people just don't have time. So I wouldn't even overthink about sitting down and writing like this long ass email, because no one wants to get a long ass email anymore. That's for blogging and things like that. So I would say maybe just repurposing your content and just shooting it out to your email list and saying, hey guys, I have a brand new blog, like check it out, or I have this new video on LinkedIn, whatever it is, and just redirect them to your content. So go from there.
That leads me to another question then. What are your thoughts on plain text emails versus well-designed templates and all that jazz?
Well, it depends on your branding and really like the objective of each email. When you send out an email, there's got to be a reason, right? The last thing that you want to do is just send out an email just to send something out because you haven't sent anything in like 3 months. Okay. Yeah. So it really depends on the objective of the email, the branding, the type of brand that you are, things like that. I would definitely stay away from big images on your emails just because of the filters and things like that. When a filter goes in and it's a big ass image, a lot of times those emails that have big images land in spam just because of the coding and things like that. So I would just be careful and definitely test test these emails. And a lot of
like
the tools.
Vanessa.
Sorry, did you guys hear my phone? That's my dad. I gotta pick up my kid in a minute.
Okay.
It's the life of a single mompreneur, guys. This is real life.
Seriously.
And so, but also with these tools that we're using for email, whether it's Constant Contact, MailChimp, ConvertKit, there's a way to test out whether it's going to land in spam. So it will literally do a scan of your whole email.
Yeah.
And if there's too many images or things like that, it should tell you it's what it's supposed to do. So there's definitely tools that you can use before sending it out to make sure it won't land in spam and all that good stuff.
Okay. And that's exactly what I was going to ask you, because someone else asked me, are there certain words that you should avoid in your emails? That way it doesn't trigger the spam flags.
Yeah. So back in the day, there was a lot of different, spammy words that you would get, land in the junk folder or now the Gmail promotional folder, right?
Yeah.
And so it's normally like free or risk-free, guarantee, things like that. So again, within Constant Contact, you could click on a button spam when you're done, and it scans your whole email. And if there is a red flag, it'll say, free, or take out this word, or, things like that.
Constant Contact does that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Damn it, ConvertKit. No.
They may have it. PM me later. They may already have it. I'd be shocked if they don't.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because Michelle is saying ConvertKit didn't warn her, and one of the 11 emails she sent, plain text, ended up in someone's spam folder. All right.
Yeah.
Got
It happens. I mean, it's just part of email marketing. Like, we all have to deal with those filters and those spam filters, just like we have to deal with the algorithms on Facebook. So my suggestion would be just, from the get-go, when someone joins your list, tell them to whitelist you for sure. That's pretty much like the 100% guarantee that it won't land in spam and it won't land in junk. But when they whitelist you, you have to give them directions on how to do it. And basically what whitelisting means is that they literally have to go into their settings and filter you out, saying never put in spam, in layman's terms, okay? But it's extra work for your readers, and let's be honest, who's going to do that? Maybe someone will. But that's why, where there's so many people with the Gmail, you can literally just tell them, hey, just drag and drop me from the promotions folder to, the regular folder, so you won't ever miss an email from me. Stuff like that.
I was like, why did they call it whitelisting? Why don't they call it confetti listing? Ooh. And shout out to Mike, who is a human thesaurus, because Michelle was like, so then what's another word for free? And he's like, no cost.
I know.
No cost. Gratis. Yeah, George threw it down there too. You guys are awesome. You're amazing. All right, girl, I know that you got to go and do your mommypreneur stuff, so shout out.
I got to go grab my son. Sorry, guys. I've had a blast, though. Holy cow. We could chat forever.
Oh, girl, this is going to be a transcript, a blog post, a PDF, an email, a 1 minute social media clip.
Oh, my gosh. I know, especially if Alton's involved. I mean, man.
Oh, he's already has a blog post, and it already has 1,000 shares. Mike Alton.
I cannot wait to go see his workshop at MDMC. I've never seen someone convert content into 30 different things in a minute after the live stream. It's how? Are you Yoda? What are you doing?
Yes, I'm telling you.
I need to know.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Magical. Okay, you guys. Well, thank you, Vanessa, so much. You've been absolutely amazing. For those of you that are interested in learning more about Vanessa, again, check out her 10 ways to grow your list and your audience. She's absolutely badass. She's matching in this. Can you do that exact pose? Can you tilt and then turn your head?
Right?
Oh, there you go. Hey. You guys, go check out my girl. She'll hook you up and she'll let you know how you can win with email marketing. So, Vanessa, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out with the Lights Camera Live crew. You've been amazing.
I've had such a blast, Stephanie. This was awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
All right, you guys. Bye. Bye. Take care, everyone. Get those emails out. Hit up Vanessa. Get that freebie. Bye, y'all.